my Rachel Dawes. Even though she died in several pieces. I mean, she broke up with me, and she did leave me with a bad and good reputation. But I do believe it's time we go punch crime in the face. This is Arkham Twin Days. Hi there, viewers. How you doing out there? And Happy New Year of the year 2019. And welcome to Leo's Let's Plays Alliance, as I'm going to talk about a different topic, and this topic is the final Christopher Nolan movie of the Dark Knight trilogy movies, The Dark Knight Rises. So, let's begin with The Dark Knight Rises movie story, part 1. So, as you can see where Commissioner James Gordon gives out the speech about Harvey Dent and how he has done great works for this city to clean up the crime in the streets of Gotham. And though he will miss Harvey Dent dearly, even though he kept this biggest secret, including Batman himself. And so, on to the next clip, shows, you're not going to believe who it is. But the thing is, of the next clip, it shows there is it's completely, like there's a plane right there. And then, you have any idea? These people, I don't know, maybe CIA perhaps? I have no idea. So yeah. So the CIA kind of captured these guys who are wearing, is going to, how do I say that? They're going to try to take him on a plane ride. They want to know who in the world his name is Bane. So yeah, they want to know who Bane is. So the only thing, they had to take him on the plane ride. And so for that, they had to do, this guy has to give out a lot of questions, the one who's kind of in charge of the who, how do I say this, wants to know where Bane is at. He says, the first one who tells me where Bane is at gets to stay on my plane. Then he fires a warning shot from one of these guys, and he says, a lot of task for a loyal assassin. And then this, I don't know, maybe this CIA agent guy hears someone talking and he says, or perhaps he likes to shoot a man. And then he tries to take off that mask, and then he says, the CIA agent, or this guy says, if I take that mask off, will you die? He says, it will be extremely painful. Oh, it'll be extremely painful. He says, you're a big guy. For you. Yeah, for you. He tried to sound, I'm trying to sound, my voice sounds more like a gypsy, if you want to know. Because, you know how he sounds like, yes, I'd like to have a, he kind of sounds like a bit of Sean Connery with the Scottish accent. Instead, it sounds really cool, except he doesn't carry the Venom formula, which is kind of weird. He says, well, you got yourself caught. Now what is your next idea of your grand master plan? And he said, crash land this plane with no survivors. And when he tries to crash land this plane, He wants to take the plane down completely and have nobody in stand in his way. So they try to revive this loyal League of Assassins. I have no idea why, but this movie came out in the year of 2012. That's right, 2012, 4 years later after the 2008 movie of The Dark Knight. And so, for that matter, this plane comes out of nowhere from the sky and tries to clip the wings of that plane because he said he wants to crash land this plane with no survivors. So, it's going to happen. So that way, and by the way, he kind of absolutely says, wait, we need to have one of our survivors stay on the wreckage. He says, have we started the fire? No, this is not. Bane has started the fire because I'm so happy because you know what he wants to do. He just started the fire. No, it's not that. He says, yes, the fire rises. He says the fire rises. And Dr. Pavel is screaming, of course, he says, those aren't his friends. He doesn't have any friends. Those were not his friends. He's just captured by the ones who were kind of oh boy. What is the word I'm looking for? So, yeah. More like, not incapacitated, but more like detained but taken hostage. So yeah, we'll take that one. So now that the plane has been clipped its wings and now the main body of the plane goes, and it says, now's not the time for screaming in fear, Dr. Pavel. That comes later. No way through. Turn around. So yeah, that part is gonna come later. And so for that, and here we go, and where we're going to zoom in, where across of Gotham City is where James Gordon gives out a speech. So James Gordon, now that he only lives all alone because his wife just left to Cleveland along with her son and daughter completely, because he doesn't want any part of what's going to happen in Gotham. So how in heaven's name are you going to solve this predicament? So he wants to give out the speech, but he couldn't do it. Even though he wants to do it, he just cannot take when it's time for him to retire, because he carries this deep secret, because Gotham's White Knight fallen down because he doesn't like crooked cops so much, and for those who laugh behind their backs, to upset the established order that becomes chaos, because the Joker took the best of him and brought him down to his level. And it was just very, very disappointing. I mean, I'm not saying disappointing. I mean, it was a bitter disappointment for Harvey Dent, losing the one he loved, and not to mention the loss of his life, because he wanted to have Rachel saved first. Instead, he got saved first because he doesn't want to be saved. He wants Rachel to be saved first, then him second. But instead, the people from the cops of the GCPD kind of turned him into Two-Face, which is kind of their fault because they don't want to get blackmailed by the Joker and have their families getting hurt, but instead they should have come clean instead, and they are crooked from later on, and then even though on the third movie of The Dark Knight Rises, they were going to have to come clean of what is going on anyways. It is not funny. So,
how was I supposed to know the gas was gone?
Oh boy. So now you see Alfred Pennyworth organizing this little party thing about that Bruce Wayne is in his bedroom, but he tells Alfred to do not. The only way to give him his food and tray is to just open the door, set the tray in there, lock the key and all that and whatsoever. So yeah. And you know how it's going to work. So, this little maid, this kind of maid who's kind of working for Bruce is absolutely, how do I say this? Is not quite the cat out of the bag. It happens to be Selina Kyle, aka Master Thief and Cat Burglar. So, yay! The cat burglar wants to find the secret hidden jewels of Bruce Wayne. And so for that matter, how she's going to get the jewels, she kinda plays she kinda sweet, and then she's absolutely sly. And if you can see, Bruce Wayne carries this cane. Of course, he's not that old. He's just kind of roughly injured during his last battle with the Joker, and not to mention with Two-Face. And now, yeah, though there was a bit of a rustle, Selina Kyle tripped him, and because he wanted the jewel, she wanted the jewels. But for some reason, even though she wanted the jewels, but she wanted to give it to someone else. Like, what is going on? She wanted fingerprints besides the jewels. That is not one. That is something that a master thief wouldn't want to do. Or something. So, what to expect? So Bruce Wayne is kind of dusting the fingerprints, and like Alfred says, "What are you doing? Dusting for fingerprints?" "No, I'm not dusting for fingerprints. I mean, she's actually dusting my fingerprints. I don't know what she want them for." Is what he's saying, if you want to know so. Look, I'm just making this up as I go, okay? So here's the next thing. So how do I say this? So you see Selina Kyle dusting for the fingerprints, and of course, before that happens, she kind of finds a man who works for Congress or the senator, and she kind of wanted to hitch a ride with him, and then gets the fingerprints to one of not Rupert Thorne, John Daggett. You know, Daggett from Batman the Animated Series. That guy named Daggett. Him, the one who wants to have his own company and his own place to take part of companies that wanted to make his own ideals, you know. Not his own ideals, more like he wants to make a company that makes way more bigger than Wayne Enterprises. So he sent one of his associates. So he upped to send one of his associates to get the fingerprints. I mean, she wanted to get something. What she wanted to ask for is a clean slate, a memory that wipes clean from the name, city, date, and birth, and completely wipe clean off the record of any process, of any job application, of whatsoever of their MOs. Like, if they wanted to get if she wanted the clean slate, she wanted to start a new life over and never try to, how do I say it? Maybe not to try to repeat the process, perhaps. I'm not so sure. But that's just me, for saying out loud. And so for that, and here is oh boy. So she did not want what she get for it, because she wanted something to get is that clean slate. And so she hands out this phone, or this cell phone, and she says, "My friend's outside. She has the items that you've been looking for." And then her friend says, "Is something going on?" "Yeah, everything's fine." Says, "You sure?" And Selena says, "Yeah, catch you later." Because she doesn't want to be caught in the crossfires. If you want to know. Of course, she said, "We couldn't, if only this would have been easier like we've talked about." And he says, "Well, no one's going to miss you." And he says, "But everybody's going to miss him." And this guy says, "I don't think nobody's going to search a bar like this." And Selena says, "I don't know. You just use his cell phone." I was like, what? Yeah. He didn't realize he actually has hit the button that sends or activates the signal to locate for the senator who's been missing for so long. So the police are going to come in and rush over. And guess what? The police are finally in. And Selena Kyle decides to play the victim. And yes. And targets the ones who work for John Daggett. And now, even though she kind of doesn't apply the no killing rule, which works in the Christopher Nolan universe. Of course, the other Catwoman who actually killed Mr. Shrek, or, did the same thing. From Batman Returns. So, and now, what are you going to expect to do? Oh, that's right. We are going to, how do I say this? Do something about it. Okay, she says, so she tells him to applying the pressure on the wound, and she says, keep putting on that pressure. To this senator, he says, "Call me?" I guess he wants to go out on a date, even though he's kind of drunk. Of course, which is pretty funny. Which is funny. Wow.
If you can hear me, Batman, thanks.
It's just funny. Oh my God. So it is just absolutely, it was kind of a funny moment, Quirks. Of course, you see more of the of course, I'm guessing there's more than just John Daggett's guys. There's more of the League of Assassins. And so for that, James Gordon, or his unit, tries to go to where they might lead to the leader of the League of Assassins, and his name is Bane. Of course, you see Officer Blake, John Blake, who works for the GCPD. He says it goes with the police who are trying to go down into the sewers. However, the sewers are kind of wired with explosives from, in other case, they don't want being followed. Of course, James Gordon kind of doesn't know about this, but unless he got out of the way, I'm not sure if the explosions were big enough, to be honest. I don't know what if Christopher Nolan is thinking. So, yeah. If Christopher Nolan were to make bigger, more explosions, which is fantastic, it exploded like Michael Bay films. So that happened. Of course, they couldn't go down to the sewers. However, Officer John Blake, one of them says, "Can you get this hothead out of here?" Because one of them just, of course, he has an idea where the sewers might lead to where Jim Gordon ends up to. So he has to follow from where of the pattern of the sewers at, where, you know, where the end of the water goes. Yeah, even if it's poo water. Ew, poo water. So, yeah, no poo water. Or the cleaning up the city's water supply. At least the Narrows is lost, but Arkham Asylum still exists. And so, and Bane says, "Why?" He says, "Why are you here?" And one of them says, "Answer him! He's talking to you." And Bane says, "Actually, I was talking to you. And you brought him here and let several officers died." And one of the henchmen said, but I just got," and Bane squeezed the life out of him, like crushing his neck. He says, "Search him, then I will kill you." And then the next thing you know, he has this letter. The henchman finds the letter and hands it to Bane. And then James Gordon, or should I say Jim Gordon, rolls out of the way, dives himself into the sewers where the water running flows, and then the henchman starts firing bullets at him from where he's escaping. And he says, "He's gone, or he's dead." He says, "Then show me his body." He said, "That's impossible. The water runs one of the outflows. We'll never be able to find him." And Bane and one of the henchmen hands over a device signal and puts on this henchman, and he says, "Follow him." And he says, "Follow him?" And he fires the gun in front of him and just dies, and then follows one of the outflows and where the water flows, and Officer John Blake finally finds Commissioner Jim Gordon in one of the water outflows of the sewers, is able to find him before things were going from bad to worse. So, yeah. It was, at least he survived, but now it seems he needs to get to a hospital. So, now that he has to go to a hospital, of course, Bruce Wayne still, I mean, he has hung up his cape and cowl, but he has never moved on because he misses Rachel so much. Of course, when he heard about the news that Jim Gordon fell into the sewers, he decided that he wanted to go to the hospital for himself. And so for that, he had to, of course, he had to go there sooner or later, but that'll be in the nighttime. Of course, now, before he goes, Officer John Blake is going to, how do I say this, wants to go visit Bruce Wayne because something that went on during the Harvey Dent Act and the murder of Harvey and Harvey Dent's murderer, who was actually known as Batman. Even though Batman says I killed those people, he did not actually kill those people. Of course, he had to stop Harvey Dent because, even though I'm going to say shoved Harvey Dent off because he's sleeping, because and then he wants to know, because he has a warrant, and because he is part of what is going on ever since he did through a campaign. So yeah, that part of the campaign. But I do believe we are going to stop here for the time being, and don't worry, we are going to continue to pick up from where we left off. And thanks for watching. And don't forget to like, comment, favorite, and subscribe. And tell me, what do you guys think of the Dark Knight Rises movie? Whether it's loved or hated by viewers, and even though this is Arkham Twin Days of the year of 2019. So, this is Leo Wolverine saying and speaking as always as your sensational special being who takes chances, makes mistakes, and get messy in Leo's Let's Plays Alliance. Godspeed, play safe, and shalom. See you guys next time for more of Arkham Twin Days, and welcome to the year of 2019. So, Happy New Year!